What if Mercedes is about to surprise everyone in Australia? The W16 has improved, Russell is ready, and Antonelli could pull off a surprise. But are they really on the level of Red Bull and McLaren? Before I tell you, tell me in the comments, do you think Mercedes will get a podium in Melbourne? Because if everything goes well, this could be an unexpected turn in the season. Lewis Hamilton's departure marked the end of an era at Mercedes. After more than a decade and 6 world titles with the team, his departure to Ferrari left a key question. Can Mercedes continue to be a benchmark team without its star driver? George Russell now assumes the role of leader within the team. At 27 years old, he has shown that he has the talent and maturity to take the reins of the team. His victory in Brazil 2022 and multiple outstanding performances in qualifying and the race consolidated him as a driver with the ability to fight at the highest level. However, the 2023 season made it clear that it did not yet have a car with the potential to compete consistently against Red Bull. Mercedes' gamble on Kimi Antonelli instead of a more experienced driver is a risky but forward-thinking move. At just 18, Antonelli has impressed in his time in the lower categories, but the step up to Formula One represents a completely different challenge. His talent is undeniable, but he will have to adapt quickly to the demands of the category and the pressure of driving for a team that is not content with 4th place in the Constructors' Championship. The W16 represents an evolution of the concept developed in 2023. Pre-season testing in Bahrain has shown positive signs, especially in the stability of the car in low-speed corners, one of the main weaknesses of the W15. The rear suspension has undergone a series of key modifications to improve car control and reduce excessive tire wear on long runs. Despite these advances, the team still faces challenges in the high-speed corners. This aspect is crucial, as on circuits like Albert Park, where medium and high speeds play a determining role, a slight deficiency in this area can make the difference between fighting for the podium or being stuck in the midfield. Mercedes has shown in recent years that it can react well to technical difficulties, but the key will be how quickly they manage to convert the improvements into results on track. With McLaren showing solid race pace in pre-season testing and Ferrari with a new-look lineup, the competition will be tougher than ever. Doubts about the team's true performance remain. However, confidence within Mercedes is evident. Toto Wolff has been clear that the aim is to return to the fight for wins, and if the W16 can build on its long-run performance, the team could be in a much stronger position than many anticipate. The first race of the season will serve as a definitive test to measure whether the W16 concept is the right one. It will also determine whether the gamble on a young driver like Antonelli was the right decision or whether Mercedes will need time to regain its status as a title contender. The Albert Park circuit is a unique layout on the Formula One calendar. Although located in an urban environment, it is not a traditional street circuit, as it features long straights, fast corners and changes of direction that demand a precise balance between top speed and cornering stability. The evolution of asphalt in recent years has reduced the unevenness of the layout, but it remains a circuit that punishes mistakes and rewards cars with a good combination of mechanical grip and aerodynamic efficiency. For Mercedes, the performance of the W16 in Melbourne will depend on 2 main factors. The first is the car's ability to maintain stability in fast corners, an area in which the team has shown difficulties during pre-season. Sectors such as Turn 9 and Turn 10 represent a significant challenge, as drivers need a car that gives them confidence to accelerate without losing control of the rear axle. Any instability in this area could force Russell and Antonelli to slow down more than necessary, losing key time on each lap. The second factor is traction in low-speed corners. The third sector of the Melbourne circuit is where teams must find the balance between efficient corner exit and correct tire wear management. Mercedes has worked on improving the W16's rear suspension to optimize weight transfer and prevent the car from losing performance in these types of corners. If the updates work as expected, the team could mitigate one of its main weaknesses from last year. Another key aspect is tire wear management. The Albert Park circuit has historically been a track that generates a medium level of degradation, but with the evolution of cars and race strategies, this factor has become increasingly relevant. Mercedes has worked on improving the efficiency of the W16 in long stints, but the real test will come in real race conditions. If the car continues to suffer in the second half of each stint, the team could be at a disadvantage against rivals such as McLaren and Ferrari, who have shown better tire management in long runs during pre-season. Aerodynamics will also play a key role. Albert Park is a circuit that demands a balance between downforce and top speed. A car with too much downforce may be more stable in the corners, but will lose time on the straights. Conversely, a car with less downforce may be faster on the straights, but will suffer more in the corners. Mercedes has opted for a compromise in its initial setup, seeking good straight-line speed without compromising grip too much in the more technical sectors. However, the team could be forced to make adjustments throughout the weekend if track conditions or rival performances require a change in strategy. The Melbourne circuit will be a real test for the W16. If the car manages to minimize its weaknesses in fast corners and show consistency in tire wear, Mercedes will have a real chance of fighting for a podium. If the problems persist, the team could find itself in a tougher battle with Aston Martin and Alpine, which would show that there is still work to be done to reach the level of Red Bull, McLaren and Ferrari. The comparison between Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari and McLaren at the start of the 2025 season is a key point to understand the expectations of the Brackley team in Melbourne. Each team has followed a different approach to the development of its cars, which has generated a provisional hierarchy based on pre-season testing. However, the results in Bahrain do not always accurately reflect what will happen on a track with different characteristics such as Albert Park. Red Bull remains the team to beat. Despite the changes in the technical regulations, the Austrian team has maintained its dominance with a car that stands out for its aerodynamic efficiency and overall balance. The RB20's ability to generate downforce without sacrificing straight-line speed gives it a key advantage at circuits like Melbourne, where the combination of fast corners and high-speed sections is crucial. Max Verstappen remains the team's absolute benchmark, while Sergio Perez will have to prove that he can remain competitive in the fight for podiums. If Red Bull have not lost correlation between simulations and real performance, they are likely to continue setting the pace at the front. Ferrari arrives with a renewed lineup after the incorporation of Lewis Hamilton, which adds an extra element of uncertainty. During pre-season, the SF25 showed significant improvements in traction and stability in slow corners, two fundamental aspects for the Albert Park circuit. One of the main problems that Ferrari had in previous seasons was the inconsistency in tire wear during the race, which made them lose competitiveness against Red Bull. If they have managed to solve this problem, they could be a real threat in Melbourne. Charles Leclerc has proven to be extremely fast in qualifying, but the big question is how Hamilton will adapt to the new car and whether he will be able to extract its full potential from the first race. McLaren is the team that has shown the most progress over the last year and could be Mercedes' main rival in the fight for the podium. During the Bahrain tests, their car showed impressive race pace, consolidating itself as the second-best team in long runs. Its main strength is stability in medium and high-speed corners, which gives them an advantage in sectors such as the first and second of Albert Park. Both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri have shown a high level of confidence in the car, suggesting that they could be the reference in the mid-high area of the grid. Mercedes is in an intermediate position. The W16 has improved compared to its predecessor, but still has weaknesses that could cost it time in the race. Stability in fast corners remains a point of concern, especially on a track where Red Bull and McLaren have proven to be superior in this aspect. However, Mercedes' ability to optimize its performance over the weekend will be key. George Russell has proven to be a driver who can maximize the car's strengths in qualifying, which could allow him to start from a good position on the grid. Kimi Antonelli's debut adds a factor of uncertainty. Although his talent is undeniable, his lack of experience in Formula One could play against him on a demanding circuit like Melbourne. The key for him will be to maintain consistency during the race and avoid mistakes that compromise his performance. If Mercedes managed to minimize its weaknesses and take advantage of the strengths of the W16, the team has a real chance of fighting McLaren and Ferrari for a podium spot. However, if the problems in fast corners persist or tire wear becomes a disadvantage, they could be relegated to a closer battle in the midfield. The Australian Grand Prix will be a fundamental test to measure the team's true potential and determine whether they are in a position to close in on Red Bull or if they still have a long way to go. George Russell and Kimi Antonelli represent the present and future of Mercedes in Formula One. The driver duo with which the team faces the 2025 season is one of the most interesting combinations on the grid, as it brings together Russell's experience and proven talent with Antonelli's youth and potential. However, this change of lineup also represents a challenge, as the team has gone from having a 7-time world champion like Lewis Hamilton to betting on a less consolidated structure in terms of leadership and technical development. Russell assumes for the first time in his career the role of absolute leader within a top-level team. Since his arrival at Mercedes in 2022, he has proven to be a fast, intelligent and consistent driver, capable of extracting the maximum performance from the car even in adverse conditions. His victory in Brazil 2022 and his performance in subsequent seasons showed that he has the necessary talent to fight for victories if he has a competitive car. However, he now faces a new responsibility, to be the team's benchmark both on and off the track. Until now, Russell has shared a garage with Lewis Hamilton, allowing him to learn from one of the most successful drivers in Formula One history. But with Hamilton gone, the Briton must prove that he can lead the development of the car and become a driver capable of consistently fighting at the front of the grid. This means not only being fast in qualifying and consistent in the race, but also providing the technical feedback necessary for the team to optimize the performance of the car throughout the season. One of Russell's main challenges in 2025 will be to remain calm and consistent in an environment where the pressure will be greater than ever. In previous seasons, he has proven capable of executing strategically sound races, but he has also made mistakes at key moments, such as the missed opportunities in 2023 due to incidents in qualifying or miscalculations in the final laps of some races. With McLaren and Ferrari in an increasingly competitive position, Russell cannot afford to lose valuable points if Mercedes is to stay in the fight for podiums or wins. Meanwhile, Kimi Antonelli arrives in Formula One with great expectations surrounding him. At just 18, he becomes one of the youngest drivers to debut in the category, which demonstrates the confidence Mercedes has in his talent. Toto Wolff has opted for a long-term approach, preferring to give the opportunity to a driver from the team's academy rather than signing a more experienced driver from the market. Antonelli has proven to be an exceptional talent in the junior categories. His ability to adapt quickly to different cars and his aggression on track have made him one of the most promising prospects in recent years. However, Formula One is a completely different challenge, and his performance in the 2025 season will depend on his ability to adapt to the demands of the category and handle the pressure of racing for a top team from his debut. One of the biggest challenges for Antonelli will be tire management. In categories such as Formula 2 and Formula 3, race strategies are different and cars have less complex behavior in terms of degradation. In Formula 1, understanding how to maintain tire performance over a full race is a determining factor, and this is one of the areas where young drivers often take longer to adapt. Another key aspect will be his performance in qualifying. On a grid as competitive as the one in 2025, a tenth of a second can make the difference between finishing inside the top 10 or missing out on Q2. If Antonelli manages to put in a solid performance on Saturdays, he will increase his chances of getting good results in the race. However, if he struggles in qualifying, he will be forced to fight back in an increasingly tight field, which could compromise his chances of scoring points consistently in the first races of the season. The comparison with Russell will also be inevitable. In his first races, Antonelli is expected to underperform his teammate due to the difference in experience, but the key will be how quickly he can close that gap. If he manages to get close to Russell's times and shows an accelerated learning curve, Mercedes will have made the right decision in betting on him. However, if his adaptation is slower than expected, the team could find itself in a difficult situation, especially if the points Antonelli lets slip end up affecting Mercedes' position in the Constructors' Championship. The Australian Grand Prix will be a key first test for this new driver lineup. For Russell, it represents the opportunity to show that he is ready to lead Mercedes in this new stage. For Antonelli, it is the start of a path in which he will have to prove that he has the talent and maturity to compete in Formula One at the highest level. His performance in Melbourne will not determine the rest of the season, but it will serve as a first reference to evaluate whether Mercedes has made the right bet with its new driver duo. Mercedes arrives at the Australian Grand Prix with moderate expectations and a sense of uncertainty about its true competitive level. The departure of Lewis Hamilton marked the beginning of a new stage for the team, with George Russell taking over the leadership and Kimi Antonelli making his debut in Formula One. The pre-season left mixed signals. The W16 has shown improvements compared to its predecessor, but still faces challenges in high-speed corners and tire management, aspects that will be decisive at the Albert Park circuit. The performance of the car in the Bahrain test suggests that Mercedes can be in the fight for a podium, although it does not start as a favorite. Red Bull remains the benchmark, McLaren has shown very solid race pace, and Ferrari arrives with the extra motivation of Lewis Hamilton's debut with the team. The key for Mercedes will be how well they can execute their strategy and whether the updates implemented in the W16 manage to minimize its weak points. In the case of George Russell, this race represents the opportunity to consolidate himself as the new leader of the team. His performance in qualifying will be crucial, as starting from a good position on the grid could make the difference in the fight against McLaren and Ferrari. He will also have to efficiently manage tire wear to remain competitive in the final laps of the race. For Kimi Antonelli, this will be his first big test in Formula One. The young Italian driver has shown exceptional talent in the lower categories, but now he will have to face the pressure of competing against the best drivers in the world in a team with high expectations. His adaptation to race pace and ability to stay error-free will be decisive in his performance in Melbourne. If Mercedes can run a clean race and capitalize on any mistakes from their rivals, they have a real chance of fighting for a podium. However, if the stability and tire degradation issues persist, they could find themselves in a closer battle with Aston Martin and Alpine. With that, you have a detailed analysis of what you can expect from Mercedes at the Australian Grand Prix. Now the question is, do you think this will be the year that Mercedes gets back into the fight for wins, or will they continue to be one step behind the leaders? Leave it in the comments, and if you want more detailed analysis like this, subscribe so you don't miss a thing.